militaristic ambitions, confusion by everyone, scandals and intrigues, and a lack of investigations. What goals does the new Lithuanian government set for itself? Let's examine all the political elements and put them in place. This is the Mendeleva Table. Let's figure it out together. Lithuania has decided to build a large and powerful state. This is the goal set by the Cabinet of Ministers formed after the October parliamentary elections. Let me remind you, they were held according to all the canons of European democracy, with violations, empty envelopes, and even drunk members of the election commission.
There were many violations, manipulations, fraud, and it's hard to imagine democracy without elections. Elections are like the highest form of democracy. If there are no elections, like in Ukraine, it means there is no democracy. There were many curious situations. For example, so-called Lithuanians of the world, those Lithuanians living abroad who wanted to vote there, received empty envelopes without voting ballots. A woman wanting to vote in Italy was told they could send the ballot a second time by mail. Well, not by mail, but through a private courier. And it would cost about 50 euros. Some ballots were sent out during the announcement of voting results.
A lyrical digression. These are the European standards for conducting elections that they are trying to impose on us. Vilnius does not hide its plans to interfere in the sovereign affairs of our country. Lithuania has decided to engage in propaganda among Belarusians. The foreign minister has already signed a document with the Council of Europe to create a so-called propaganda center. There, they will teach how to build a democratic and prosperous future. However, our country manages to prosper on its own, which unsettles Western forces. Let's return to the murky realities. As a result of the elections in Lithuania, the ruling party was pushed into opposition. Political scandals, an influx of migrants, and numerous economic problems played their role here. At that time, the party leader, who was also the head of the Lithuanian Foreign Ministry, could not accept defeat and resigned as the leader of the Conservatives. A coalition of Social Democrats, the Union for Lithuania, and the party Dawn of Nemunas, which does not hide its anti-Semitic views, came to the forefront. They have already managed to quarrel among themselves and show complete disagreement. However, if there is any similarity, it is that they all think about foreign policy. No one intends to address the issues of their citizens. And let's be honest, Vilnius's relations with the outside world are not determined by any party. They are dictated by Brussels.
I evaluate these elections very simply. In principle, geopolitics will not change. It will remain the same. Because Lithuania doesn't really have its own policy. And the fact that the Conservatives, Gabriel Salensbergis, were not elected, and now it's the Social Democrats, in principle, geopolitics will not change. It will be the same.
Nevertheless, the head of the Lithuanian Foreign Ministry does not forget to promote his foreign policy narratives. Seeing how, despite sanctions, the Belarusian economy is on a growth trajectory, Landsbergis went to Washington to complain about Minsk. He accused Belarus of, quote, helping Russia circumvent sanctions.
Belarus is an important transit point through which prohibited goods are transported from Europe and the USA to Russia.
Despite what Landsbergis says, local companies are doing business with our country quite well. For example, statistical data shows that last year, Lithuania was among the top 3 EU countries exporting to Belarus. By demonstratively stopping the import of our fertilizers, harming themselves first and foremost, Vilnius continues to buy clothes, furniture, fruits, and vegetables. They still need to earn money somehow. With such militaristic ambitions to increase defense spending to 3% of GDP. Lithuania has already increased the profit tax and excises on alcohol, tobacco, and fuel. It has decreed that municipalities will annually contribute 25 million euros to civil defense projects with their share of the income tax from the population. However, so far the result is an increase in the number of Lithuanians considering themselves poor or in need, up to 8%. they will have to spend again on credit or at the expense of the EU. And while issues with weapons, counter-mobility parks, and shooting complexes can be solved with money, even if it's not their own, there are clear difficulties with human resources. According to new surveys, 60% of citizens will not defend their homeland. 20% are still thinking about it, but are unlikely to wear a uniform. Only 7% of Lithuanians intend to participate in the defense of the fatherland with weapons in hand.